Step out of the vehicle, now.
Officer, I've shown you my identification. I'm a county judge dropping my children off at school.
I don't care what you say you are. You're being uncooperative.
Mom, why is he yelling at you?
Lucas, it's okay. Stay calm, baby.
Ma'am, turn around. Hands behind your back.
You're arresting me in front of my children? For what?
Everything's being recorded. You're only making this worse for yourself. I understand.
It's Friday morning, December 15th. Just before 9 a.m. Judge Simone Whitaker is driving through her neighborhood with Lucas and Aaliyah in the backseat. The radio plays Christmas music. Aaliyah is wearing her favorite red dress because today is the Christmas party at school. Lucas has been talking non-stop about the cookie decorating contest and whether he'll finally beat his friend Marcus this year. Simone glances at them in the rearview mirror and smiles. This is her favorite kind of morning. The simple kind. The normal kind. The kind where her biggest concern is whether she remembered to pack extra napkins in Aaliyah's snack bag and whether she'll make it to the courthouse in time for her 9:30 docket. Mom, do you think Mrs. Patterson will let us have 2 cookies this year? Lucas asks. If you ask nicely, maybe, Simone replies. Remember your manners. I'm gonna ask for 3, Aaliyah announces. Ambitious. I like it. This is who Simone Whitaker is on a regular day. A mother first. A judge second. But never someone who separates those identities. She brings the same principles to both roles. Fairness, patience, order, and an unshakable belief that systems work when people follow the rules. She's lived her entire adult life inside those systems. Law school at Howard University. Public defender for 6 years. Assistant district attorney for 4. Private practice for 3. Then at age 37 she was appointed to the county bench. The youngest black woman ever to hold that position in her city. She took her oath with Lucas and Aaliyah watching from the front row, barely old enough to understand what it meant but old enough to feel proud. 8 years later she's known for being tough but fair. Attorneys respect her. Colleagues trust her judgment. She runs her courtroom with precision and never raises her voice because she doesn't need to. Authority, real authority, doesn't require volume. She's taught her children the same lesson. Stay calm. Speak clearly. Show respect. Follow the rules. She's raised them to believe that if you do everything right, the system protects you. That belief is about to be shattered. They pull into the school parking lot at 8:57 a.m. The lot is decorated with wreaths and garland. Parents are unloading children in gift bags. Teachers stand near the entrance waving and smiling. Everything feels festive, safe, normal. Simone parks near the side entrance where she always drops them off. Lucas unbuckles first and reaches for his backpack. Aaliyah is fumbling with her snack container, trying to make sure the cookies inside didn't break during the drive. Okay guys, have the best time today, Simone says, turning to face them. Be kind, share your snacks, and I'll see you at pickup. I have court this morning but I'll be done by 3. Love you, Mom, Lucas says. Love you, Aaliyah echoes. Love you both. Now go have fun. They open their doors. Simone watches them start to walk toward the entrance. She's about to pull away when she sees the flash of red and blue lights in her rearview mirror. A police car has pulled up directly behind her. Close. Too close. Blocking her in. Simone's first thought is confusion. Her second thought is procedural. She reviews her actions. She wasn't speeding. She used her turn signal. Her registration is current. Her inspection sticker is valid. She's parked in a legal spot in a school parking lot at drop-off time. She looks back at Lucas and Aaliyah. They've stopped walking. They're looking at the police car too. An officer steps out. White male, late 30s, uniform crisp, expression already set in suspicion. His name is Daniel Cross, though Simone doesn't know that yet. What she does know immediately is that something is wrong. Not with her, but with the way he's approaching her. There's no greeting. No smile. No acknowledgement that this is a school parking lot filled with children. Just a sharp knock on her window and a hand already resting near his belt. Simone rolls down her window. Her voice is calm. Professional. The voice she uses in chambers when an attorney is trying her patience, but she refuses to let it show. Good morning, officer. Is there a problem? License and registration. No greeting returned. No explanation. Just a demand. Simone reaches slowly for her purse. She knows the protocol. She's taught her children the protocol. Move slowly. Announce what you're doing. Keep your hands visible. Comply. I'm reaching for my purse now, she says. My license and registration are inside. Officer Cross watches her like she's a threat. She hands him both documents through the window. He barely looks at them before speaking again. What are you doing here? Simone blinks. I'm dropping my children off at school. This is their school. You a parent here? Yes. My son Lucas is in 5th grade. My daughter Aaliyah is in 3rd. Aha. He's still looking at her documents but not really reading them. You know you can't just park wherever you want. I'm parked in a designated drop-off area. I drop my children here every morning. This area's for staff only. Simone feels her pulse quicken but her voice stays level. Officer, respectfully, this is the parent drop-off zone. There's a sign right there. She points to the clearly marked signage 10 feet away. Officer Cross doesn't even glance at it. Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to step out of the vehicle. Lucas has walked back to the car. Mom? What's happening? It's okay, baby. Just stay right there. Officer Cross's tone sharpens. Tell your son to step back. He's 10 years old and he's concerned about his mother. Lucas, go stand with your sister, okay? Why is he yelling at you? He's not yelling, sweetheart. Just go stand with Aaliyah. But Lucas doesn't move. He's frozen. Because even at 10 years old, he can feel what's happening. Aaliyah has started walking back too, her face confused and frightened. Simone turns her attention back to Officer Cross. Her voice is still calm but there's steel underneath now. Officer, I have shown you my identification. I have explained that I am dropping my children off at their school. I have parked in a legal and designated area. I'd like to know what violation you believe I've committed. You're being uncooperative. I have answered every question you've asked. I have provided documentation. That is cooperation. Step out of the vehicle. Now. Simone takes a breath. She's a judge. She knows the law. She knows her rights. But she also knows something else. Something darker. Something she's tried not to teach her children too early but has prepared for anyway. She knows that being right doesn't always protect you. She steps out of the car. Slowly. Hands visible. Her children are watching. Other parents are watching. Teachers are watching. Officer Cross's hand moves to his handcuffs. Officer, what are you doing? Simone's voice stays calm but there's urgency now. You have my identification. You have my registration. I am a judge in this county. My name is Simone Whitaker. You can verify that right now. Turn around. I am not resisting. I am complying. But I am also asserting my rights. You have no legal basis to detain me. Turn around. Hands behind your back. Mom? Lucas's voice cracks. Simone turns her head. Lucas, Aaliyah, look at me. I need you to stay calm. I need you to remember everything I've taught you. This is not right, but we are going to handle it the right way. Do you understand? Aaliyah is crying now. Full tears streaming down her face. Her Christmas dress suddenly feels ridiculous. The cookies in her hand forgotten. Officer Cross doesn't wait for Simone to turn around. He grabs her arm and forces her to face the car. The handcuffs click into place. Cold metal against her wrists. In front of her children. In front of their school. On a Friday morning that was supposed to be about Christmas parties and cookie contests. You're making a mistake, Simone says. Her voice is still controlled but barely. Everything you're doing right now is being recorded on your body camera. And everything you're doing is illegal. You're right about one thing, Officer Cross says. Everything's being recorded. And what it shows is you being uncooperative and hostile. I have been neither of those things. That's not how I see it. The crowd of parents has grown. Someone is recording on their phone. A teacher has started walking over. Lucas is shouting now, his 10-year-old voice full of confusion and fear and anger he doesn't know how to process. And then another patrol car pulls up. A sergeant steps out. Older, calmer, his eyes already scanning the scene and recognizing that something is wrong. His name is Paul Hendricks. And unlike Officer Cross, he's about to ask the right questions. If you want to see how a body cam that was supposed to protect a cop ended up destroying his career instead, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what happens next will shock you. Sergeant Paul Hendricks approaches the scene and immediately sees what Officer Cross apparently can't. A well-dressed woman in handcuffs. 2 terrified children. A crowd of witnesses. And no visible justification. Cross, what's going on here? Officer Cross straightens up, confident. Traffic stop. Subject was uncooperative and hostile. Sergeant Hendricks looks at Simone. Then at the children. Then back at Cross. This is a school parking lot. What traffic violation? Illegal parking. Refused to comply with instructions. Hendricks walks over to Simone. His tone is professional but not hostile. Ma'am, can you tell me what happened? Simone's voice is steady despite everything. I dropped my children off in the designated parent drop-off zone, as I do every morning. Officer Cross approached my vehicle, demanded my license and registration, which I provided, accused me of parking illegally despite clear signage indicating otherwise, and when I asked what violation I had committed, he detained me. Hendricks processes this. He looks at the sign. He looks at where her car is parked. He looks at Officer Cross's body camera. Cross, your camera on? Yes, sir. Has been the whole time. Good. Ma'am, what's your name? Simone Whitaker. There's a pause. Sergeant Hendricks's expression changes slightly. Recognition flickers across his face. Judge Whitaker? Yes. Officer Cross goes very still. Sergeant Hendricks turns to him slowly. You handcuffed Judge Whitaker? She didn't identify herself as. Her license has her name on it. Her registration has her name on it. Did you check either of those against county records? Silence. Did you ask her occupation? More silence. Did you assess whether there was any actual threat or legal violation before you escalated to detention? Officer Cross's jaw tightens. She was being uncooperative. How? She questioned my authority. Sergeant Hendricks takes a long breath. Then he walks over to Simone. Your Honor, I'm going to remove these handcuffs now. I apologize for this situation. The cuffs come off. Simone rubs her wrists. She doesn't say anything yet. She's watching her children. Aaliyah has stopped crying but her face is frozen in shock. Lucas looks like he wants to run to her but doesn't know if it's safe. Simone walks over to them and pulls them both into a hug. I'm okay. We're okay. Why did he do that? Lucas asks. It's the question Simone knew was coming. The question she hoped she'd never have to answer in this way. The question that requires her to name something ugly and true. But not here. Not now. Not while Officer Cross is standing 15 feet away and a crowd is watching. We'll talk about it later, baby. Right now I just need you both to know that what happened was wrong. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't my fault. And it's going to be addressed. Sergeant Hendricks approaches again. Judge Whitaker, I'd like to take full statements from everyone involved. I can have another officer escort your children inside if you'd like to handle this now, or we can arrange another time. Simone looks at her children. The Christmas party has already started. They can hear music coming from inside the building. But neither of them looks like they want to go anymore. I think we're going home, Simone says quietly. Understood. I'll be in touch within 24 hours. Again, I apologize. Simone nods. She doesn't say, it's okay because it's not. She doesn't say, thank you, because being uncuffed after being illegally detained doesn't warrant gratitude. She just takes her children's hands and walks them back to her car. Officer Cross is still standing there, his body camera still recording as she drives away. He thinks he followed protocol. He thinks his camera will back him up. He thinks being right about being recorded is the same as being right about everything else. He has no idea what that footage actually shows. The next 72 hours move fast. Sergeant Hendricks reviews the body cam footage and writes a report flagging multiple policy violations. Officer Cross is placed on administrative leave pending investigation. The school principal calls Simone personally to apologize and ask if Lucas and Aaliyah need counseling resources. Simone doesn't return to the bench on Monday. She takes the week off. Not because she's too emotional to work, but because she needs time to make a decision. She spent her entire career believing in the system. Believing that justice works if you follow the rules. Believing that fairness is possible if everyone operates in good faith. But her children watched her get handcuffed for nothing. They watched her comply with every instruction and still be treated like a criminal. They watched the rules fail. What is she supposed to tell them now? That if they just stay calm and polite and respectful they'll be safe? She doesn't believe that anymore. Not fully. Not after this. She sits at her kitchen table with a legal pad in front of her. Lucas and Aaliyah are at school. She's alone with her thoughts and a question that won't go away. She stays silent. What does that teach them? That you accept injustice because fighting it is too hard, too public, too risky? But if she takes action, what does that teach them? That fighting back works? That the system can be held accountable? She doesn't know which lesson is true yet. But she knows which one she wants to be true. She picks up her phone and calls a name she's known for years. Renee Lawson. Civil rights attorney. Harvard Law grad. Undefeated in federal court. They served together on a legal reform committee 2 years ago. Simone respects her. Trusts her. Renee answers on the second ring. Simone. I heard what happened. Are you okay? I'm fine. But I need to talk to you about representation. You're filing suit. I think I have to. There's a pause on the other end. Then Renee's voice comes back, firm and clear. Then let's make sure it matters. The lawsuit is filed 3 weeks later. Simone Whitaker versus Officer Daniel Cross and the City Police Department. Civil rights violation. False arrest. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. Excessive force. The complaint is 37 pages long and supported by the one piece of evidence that can't be argued with: Officer Cross's own body cam footage. The footage is damning. Not because it shows violence, but because it shows exactly what Simone said happened. A calm woman complying with every instruction. An officer escalating without cause. 2 children traumatized. And zero legal justification. The department offers to settle immediately. They know what a jury will see. They know what this looks like. They offer $75,000. Renee brings the offer to Simone. They want this to go away quietly. And if I take it? Officer Cross gets reprimanded. Maybe suspended. Maybe reassigned. But he keeps his job. And nothing changes. Simone thinks about Lucas asking why the officer was yelling. She thinks about Aaliyah crying in her Christmas dress. She thinks about every other black parent who's had to have the same conversation with their children after something like this happens. We go to trial, Simone says. It's going to be public. It's going to be ugly. They'll try to discredit you. They'll say you escalated. They'll say you have an agenda. I have children who watched their mother get handcuffed for obeying the law. That's my agenda. Renee nods. Then we go to trial. The trial begins 6 months later. The courtroom is packed. Media cameras line the hallway outside. This isn't just about one officer anymore. It's become a case study in bias, in power, in what happens when assumptions override evidence. The defense attorney is good. He paints Officer Cross as a dedicated public servant making split-second decisions in a high-pressure environment. He suggests that Simone's tone was more aggressive than she admits. He implies that her status as a judge made her feel entitled to special treatment. But then Renee plays the body cam footage. The courtroom goes silent. Every word is clear. Every interaction is visible. Simone's calm compliance. Officer Cross's escalation. The children's fear. The lack of any justification. When the video ends, Renee doesn't say anything for a long moment. She just lets the jury sit with what they've seen. Then she speaks. You just watched a county judge be handcuffed in front of her children at a school Christmas party. You watched her comply with every instruction. You watched her provide documentation. You watched her ask for an explanation. And you watched Officer Cross ignore all of it. What? What made him see a threat where there was none? What made him see defiance and compliance? What made him see a criminal in a mother dropping her kids off at school? She doesn't say the answer out loud. She doesn't have to. The jury sees it. Officer Cross takes the stand. He insists he followed protocol. He insists he perceived a threat. He insists Simone's demeanor justified his response. Renee cross-examines him for 2 hours. She walks him through every moment of the video. She asks him to point out where Simone was hostile. He can't. She asks him to identify what threat he perceived. He can't. She asks him if he checked her identification against county records before detaining her. He didn't. By the time she's done, Officer Cross looks exactly like what he is. A man who made assumptions based on bias and escalated a situation that never needed to exist. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. When they return, the verdict is clear. Liable on all counts. $910,000 in damages. The courtroom erupts. Simone sits still, her face composed. But inside something shifts. Not relief. Not triumph. Just a quiet acknowledgement that the system worked this time. For her. Because she had resources and status and visibility. She thinks about all the people who don't. This case changed everything for one officer, but it raised a bigger question. Hit subscribe if you think accountability matters, because the aftermath is just as important as the verdict. The verdict makes national news. Judge handcuffed at school, jury awards nearly $1 million. The headlines focus on the dollar amount. The cable news segments debate whether it's too high. The think pieces analyze systemic bias in policing. But for Simone, the aftermath is quieter and more complicated than any of that. She returns to the bench 2 weeks after the verdict. Her colleagues congratulate her privately. Some tell her she was brave. Others say nothing at all, and she understands why. She's made it uncomfortable for people who want to believe the system works without question. But she's not interested in comfort anymore. She's interested in truth. Lucas and Aaliyah are different now too. Not traumatized exactly, but aware. They ask questions about fairness that they didn't ask before. They notice things they didn't notice before. When they see police officers, they don't wave anymore. They watch. Simone doesn't know if that's progress or loss. Maybe it's both. One evening, about a month after the trial ends, Lucas comes into her study while she's reviewing case files. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Always." "That officer. Did he think he was right?" Simone puts down her pen. This is the question she's been waiting for. The one that matters more than money or verdicts or headlines. "I think he did," she says carefully. "I think he made assumptions about me based on what he saw, and those assumptions made him believe I was dangerous or dishonest even when I wasn't." "But why?" Simone takes a breath. "Because people carry ideas in their heads about who's trustworthy and who's not. And sometimes those ideas are based on things that don't actually tell you anything about a person. Like what they look like, where they come from, what they sound like. That's not fair." "You're right. It's not. So what do we do?" And this is the answer Simone has been working toward. Not for herself. For them. We stay honest. We stay kind. We follow the rules not because it guarantees we'll be treated fairly, but because it's right. And when we're not treated fairly, we speak up. We use the system to hold people accountable, even when it's hard. Even when it's scary. Because if people like us don't, who will? Lucas nods slowly. He's 10 years old, but he's carrying knowledge now that most kids his age don't have to carry yet. The knowledge that fairness is something you fight for, not something you're given. "Did winning the case make you feel better?" he asks. Simone considers this. "It made me feel like the truth mattered." That's different than feeling better. What about Aaliyah? She still talks about it sometimes. I know. We all process things differently. But we'll keep talking about it until she feels safe again. And if she needs help from someone other than me, we'll get that too. Lucas is quiet for a moment. Then he asks the question Simone has been asking herself every day since this happened. "Do you still think being a judge matters?" She looks at her son. At his serious face and his careful eyes and his need to believe that what happened meant something. "Yes," she says. "Even more than before." Officer Daniel Cross never works in law enforcement again. The department settles the lawsuit, which means taxpayers cover the $910,000, not Officer Cross personally. He appeals his termination through the police union. The appeal is denied. He gives one interview to a local news station, in which he maintains that he followed procedure and that the verdict was influenced by politics and public pressure. The interview doesn't go well. He comes across as defensive and unrepentant. After that, he disappears from public view. Simone doesn't follow his story. She's not interested in his redemption arc or his grievances. She's interested in making sure the same thing doesn't happen to someone else. She works with Renee and a coalition of civil rights organizations to push for policy changes. Mandatory bias training for officers. Stricter standards for when detention is legally justified. Body camera footage review protocols. Community oversight boards. Some of the reforms pass. Some don't. The work is slow and frustrating and incomplete. But it's work that matters. And every time she walks into a courtroom now, she thinks about that morning. The handcuffs. Her children's faces. The assumption that she was a problem to be controlled instead of a person to be respected. She thinks about all the times she's seen defendants in her courtroom and made her own assumptions based on appearance or background or demeanor. She thinks about all the time she's had to actively push past those assumptions to see the person in front of her clearly. She's not perfect, but she's more careful now, more conscious, more aware of how much harm can be done when someone with power decides who deserves dignity and who doesn't. 2 years after the incident, Aaliyah's school holds another Christmas party. This time, Simone drops both kids off without incident. The parking lot is decorated with wreaths again. Parents are unloading snacks again. Everything looks the same as it did that morning. But it's not the same. Aaliyah holds Simone's hand a little tighter than she used to. Lucas scans the parking lot before he gets out of the car. They've learned to be vigilant in ways Simone wishes they didn't have to be. Before they walk into the building, Aaliyah turns back. "Mom, are you going to be okay?" Simone smiles. "I'm going to be fine, baby. You two have fun. I'll see you at pickup." "Promise?" "I promise." Aaliyah nods and runs to catch up with Lucas. Simone watches them disappear into the school, then sits in her car for a moment before driving away. She thinks about that promise. "I'll see you at pickup." Such a simple thing. Something every parent says every day. But for her it carries weight now, because she knows how quickly that promise can be threatened. How quickly normal can turn into trauma. She drives to the courthouse. She has a full docket today. Cases involving people who've been accused of crimes. People who need someone to see them clearly. People who deserve a judge who understands that assumptions can be as dangerous as any weapon. She puts on her robe. She takes the bench. And she does the work. Because justice isn't just about verdicts. It's about who gets to be seen as human. Who gets to be believed. Who gets to be treated with dignity even when they're at their most vulnerable. That morning in the parking lot taught her that the system fails when people stop questioning their own assumptions. When they stop seeing each other. When they let bias replace judgment. She won't let that happen in her courtroom. Not on her watch. The $910,000 sits in a trust for Lucas and Aaliyah's education. Simone didn't touch a penny of it. That money represents something she doesn't want to spend. The price of her children's innocence. The cost of teaching them that the world isn't always fair but they have to keep believing in fairness anyway. She hopes they use it to do something meaningful. Something that makes the world a little more just than it was. But for now they're just kids. Kids who still love Christmas parties and cookie contests and asking their mom for 3 treats instead of 2. Kids who also happen to know now that safety isn't guaranteed. That respect isn't automatic. That you have to fight for dignity even when you've done nothing wrong. It's knowledge Simone wishes they didn't have yet. But it's knowledge that might protect them someday. Knowledge that might make them the kind of adults who question assumptions. Who see people clearly. Who refuse to let bias masquerade as procedure. That's the real verdict. Not the money. Not the headlines. But who Lucas and Aaliyah become because of what they witnessed. And what Simone becomes in response. She's still the same judge she was before. But she's also different. She carries the weight of that morning with her every day. The sound of handcuffs clicking. The sight of her children's fear. The realization that compliance wasn't enough. She carries it as a reminder. Of what's at stake. Of what justice actually requires. Of why the work matters even when it's hard. Because that officer thought his body cam would protect him. He thought following his version of procedure was the same as being right. He thought his assumptions were justified. He was wrong. And the footage that was supposed to be his shield became the evidence of his failure. That's the story. Not a story about one bad cop. But a story about what happens when systems allow bias to override evidence. When power excuses itself through procedure. When people forget that behind every subject, and every stop, and every detention, is a human being who deserves to be seen. Judge Simone Whitaker was seen that day. By her children. By Sergeant Hendricks. By a jury. By a nation. And Officer Daniel Cross was seen too. Exactly as he was. The Bodycam made sure of that. If this story made you think differently about justice, accountability, or what it means to be seen, subscribe right now. Because these are the stories that matter. The ones that make us question what we think we know.